Have you ever spot something in a theme park and thought, there's gotta be a story behind that? Well, you're in the right place. We're Amanda, Kevin, and Kim, the team behind Where in the Park, and we've spent years exploring the parks, creating seek and find games that uncover the details that most people miss. And now we're diving into the history, stories, and secrets behind those magical details. So grab your curiosity and maybe even a churro, and let's explore the parks together.
Hey there, explorers. Welcome back to another episode of Where in the Park podcast, where we explore the details, stories, and secrets that bring the theme parks to life, one detail at a time. I'm Amanda, and I'm joined by the rest of the Where in the Park team, my husband, Kevin.
Hey, everybody.
And my mom, Kim.
Hello, everyone.
And we are Where in the Park, creators of self-paced seek and find games that highlight the details in the theming of your favorite theme parks. Each pack has a deck of cards. Each card has an image that is hidden somewhere in the park. Question is, where in the park? If you're ready to explore the parks in a whole new way, then check out whereinthepark.com and use code podcast10 to save 10% off your next adventure. So in today's episode, we're going to do something a little different. We're focusing on the dedication plaques found around the Disney parks here in the United States. Now, these plaques are really easy to walk past and overlook, so we're going to dive into where they can be found, what they say, and discover some fun stories and details along the way, including where some of those elements are mentioned within the plaques and inscriptions can be found in the rest of the parks today. So before we get started, if you want to see the plaques and the park details that we're talking about today, be sure to join our free Facebook group, Where in the Park Explorers. Not only do we have specific posts for this episode, but we encourage you to share your photos and stories of these details as well. It's a fun community of theme park explorers just like you, and we're just getting started, so come and join in on the fun. You can also head over to our website to read the blog that goes hand in hand with this episode. We'll have links to everything in the show notes, so be sure to scroll down and check out the show notes for all of the details. All right, so let's start at the very beginning, the original, the OG, the one that started it all, and that is the dedication plaque at Disneyland in Anaheim, California. Disneyland's dedication plaque can be found right in the middle of Town Square at the base of the flagpole as you enter Main Street, USA. And again, thousands and thousands of people walk past it every single day. Most never notice that it's there, but those that are in the know stop to give pause and pay their respects, because it is here that Walt Disney himself welcomed the world to something entirely new. On July 17th, 1955, Walt stood just steps away from where these plaques now sit and delivered the now iconic words. For those in the know, say it with me for listening along. It says, Disneyland. To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land. Here age relives fond memories of the past, and here youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future. Disneyland is dedicated to the ideals, the dreams, and the hard facts that have created America, with the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world. And it has the date, July 17th, 1955. So he ends that speech with hope that Disneyland will be a source of joy and inspiration to all of the world. And from that single moment, the parks became not just places to ride rides or see shows, but it's a place to dream and to imagine and to just let loose, right? Be free from what's going on in the rest of the world. So the plaque itself hasn't changed since it was first installed. It's the same words, same spot, the same message. And on the 50th anniversary of the park, Walt's daughter, Diane Disney Miller, reread her father's words in a ceremony that brought everything full circle. We're not going to go into the history of Disneyland itself. We'll save that for another episode, but we'll also talk about like the opening day festivities and why it's called Black Sunday. But for the purposes of this episode, let's break down the phrases within this plaque. So, first line, to all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land. It's yours, not some large company, not a movie studio, yours. You are welcomed into this happy place. And I think we can all agree that we all feel welcomed and at home when we're at Disneyland. Here, age relives fond memories of the past, right? We're talking about Frontierland. We're talking about Main Street USA. And then here, youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future, referencing Tomorrowland. Disneyland is dedicated to the ideals, the dreams, and the hard facts that have created America. So, ideals that honors the core values of American society, freedom and opportunity. Dreams is obviously a place to dream, to escape the everyday, and to use your imagination. And the hard facts, that is the hard work, the perseverance, being resourceful to make something happen, in this case, America. And then that last sentence with the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world. It's certainly done that, right? It's not only changed the lives of every guest who enters through the front gates, but Disneyland has changed the entire theme park industry forever, right? Not just in creating jobs for Imagineering and theme park development and all of the people behind the scenes to make theme parks happen, but it's introducing new fields and introducing generations of people who continue to bring joy and inspire and spark new technological advancements in storytelling. And it's just pioneered this legacy of the theme park industry as we know it today. So I think that this plaque is just perfect. And when I hear Walt read this plaque in videos from opening day, it really gets me emotional because you can hear his passion and his hope in each and every word. And it's really, really special. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts about this plaque?
I love when we were doing the research on this that you'll hear when we get to our parks that a lot of the plaques in the other parks also start with an opening phrase that's similar to the one at Disney. It does tug at my heartstrings every single time I hear it because I know that was his dream. And we get to walk through those gates often and you can sense Walt there and you know that his apartment was right there and you can just sense on Main Street him overlooking us and how proud he'd be with what's going on right now. I think is that his dream did come true to bring the families together and to inspire hope.
Yeah, I mean, I agree completely that Walt would definitely be impressed with what has been created from his original idea. Yeah, with that plaque, like you were saying, it is iconic because it's audio that he read out loud in the opening ceremony for the park back in July 17th, 1955. And that audio has been used in different nighttime attractions at the park. So I've been standing in the park every time I hear it with his voice, even in the most recent show over at California Adventure, I think they have clips of that where it's just kind of like, hey, these are words that meant a lot to Walt. I don't know if he actually wrote them originally or if this is a Marty Sklar scribble or something, but they are true though, where it's just like, hey, everyone, this is for you to enjoy. It's something that I've been thinking of. I've been sitting on it, but I have created it for everyone, for all the world. And it is beautiful. Definitely.
Absolutely. All right. So fast forward 16 years, we're going to fly across the country. And there you'll find another plaque at the foot of another flagpole. This time, it's in Town Square of the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World. Walt did not live to see this park open, but his dream was alive and well, thanks to the valiant efforts of his brother Roy, who made it his mission to complete his brother's dream. The Magic Kingdom opened October 1st, 1971. But the opening ceremonies and dedication plaque were not presented until October 25th. And we'll see that as a recurring theme with the other parks too, that their opening day and their dedication plaque ceremonies did not happen on the same days. But on October 25th, Roy O. Disney stood before the crowd in Florida to dedicate this new Magic Kingdom to Walt, to the team who helped make it happen, and to all of the guests who would walk through those gates. That plaque has the engravement of Walt Disney World, is a tribute to the philosophy and life of Walter Elias Disney, and to the talents, the dedication, and the loyalty of the entire Disney organization that made Walt Disney's dream come true. May Walt Disney World bring joy and inspiration and new knowledge to all who come to this happy place. a magic kingdom where the young at heart of all ages can laugh and play and learn together. Dedicated this 25th day of October, 1971, Roy O. Disney. So, in reviewing the lines of this plaque, you hear a lot of the same sentence structures as the original plaque, like we mentioned. You're going to hear a lot of those recurring themes, and that is done intentionally. So, here we have the talents, the dedication, and the loyalty. That is written in the same lines of the ideals, the dreams, and the hard facts, right? You have joy and inspiration in both plaques, and you also have to all who come to this happy place. That phrase is part of both plaques. The Disneyland one, it's at the very first sentence, right? To all who come to this happy place, welcome. And here at Magic Kingdom, it is in the middle of the sentence. So I thought that was really interesting. They use those same phrases within the dedication plaque. The key difference is that the Disneyland's plaque specifically mentions you. Disneyland is your land. It was made for you. The first part of the Magic Kingdom's plaque, on the other hand, is a tribute to Walt and the team first, who worked so hard to make Walt's dream a reality for all to enjoy. Roy's dedication speech honored not only the place, but the person that they built it for. And less than 2 months later, Roy would pass away, making this dedication in the Magic Kingdom his final gift to his brother. So I don't know about you, but I will never walk through Town Square in either park the same way after thinking about these words and breaking them down like this, and just knowing how impactful each line meant. It's done intentionally. So how are you guys feeling? Are you feeling inspired like I am?
Yeah, I have only been to the Magic Kingdom a couple of times, so it's definitely one that I want to get back to. I know that it's constantly evolving, just like Disneyland. It does it. But that was Walt's dream, is to make it was never going to be complete. Everything's going to be changing and evolving with the times. It saddens me that Walt didn't get to see it, but I'm glad that they still persevered and moved forward with his plans. It might have been tweaked a little bit, but I'm glad that they didn't just scrap it, and they fulfilled his dream.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I agree completely that it's kind of amazing, really, that the company was able to still go forward with Walt's plan in a company that kind of really relied on Walt to lead them. So they were lucky that they had Roy O. Disney to step in and at least guide that park to exist. And a lot of the infrastructure in the whole Disney World complex that's there is because of his hard work to try to get everything running. As far as like why it's a few days, or I guess we're talking about, I'm just trying to do math in my head, right? So you got 24 days later, because October 1st is the official opening date for the Magic Kingdom, and this plaque was dedicated on the 25th of October. And I don't know why that one is. I know as they kind of go forward, they have it's kind of like even more recently with Epic Universe opening over in Florida, where you have a trial period before the park officially opens. But I don't know how they decided on October 1st was the actual opening day versus dedicated 24 days later. That is an interesting question that maybe someone listening can tell us exactly what they were thinking for the Magic Kingdom.
Yes, we would love to know with anything. If you have any additional information on any of the topics that we cover, or if you want to share your own stories with us, definitely let us know. The best place to do that would be in our Where in the Park Explorers Facebook group, where you can share your stories, share your pictures, and let's chat about the details. All right. Well, we broke down the plaques for Disneyland and the Magic Kingdom, but there are still 4 more parks to explore. So, Kim, which park are we exploring next?
We are exploring Epcot, which stands for Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow. And Epcot, or Epcot Center, it can be called, opened on October 1st. I hear a theme there. In 1982. And like Disney management did with Magic Kingdom, they decided to postpone the official opening to provide the park with a break-in period. Then they had a 3-day grand opening celebration that ran from October 22nd through October 24th. The Epcot dedication plaque is located outside of the park at the base of a flagpole. Why it's outside of the park, I'm not quite sure, but it's in front of the ticket booth, and there's a planter and the flagpole there. And on October 22nd, 1982, Card Walker, the CEO at the time, read the dedication plaque, which says, "To all who come to this place of joy, hope, and friendship, welcome." Epcot is inspired by Walt Disney's creative vision. Here, human achievements are celebrated through imagination, wonders of enterprise, and concepts of a future that promises new and exciting benefits for all. May Epcot Center entertain, inform, and inspire, and above all, may it instill a new sense of belief and pride in man's ability to shape a world that offers hope to people everywhere. And here's a little insight behind the plaque here. Walt's vision for Epcot wasn't to be a theme park. It was to be an utopia, a meticulously planned urban center where residents would have their latest technology, travel via a monorail or a people mover, and cargo and supplies would be delivered via utilidors beneath the city. So keeping everything nice and clean and pristine. His hopes was for everybody to be guaranteed a job and have plenty of time for leisure and explore the international shopping arcades that he'd have and vast green spaces. And of course, it's located not too far from the Magic Kingdom, so you'd be able to get there quite simply. But unfortunately, Walt passed away just a little more than a month after he announced the plans for Epcot. Well, Card Walker and the other executives decided to take the themes and ideas behind Epcot and translate them into a brand new theme park, one that embodied the ideas of an ever-changing blueprint of the future. Epcot Center is divided into two main sections. The first was Future World, dedicated to technology, progress, and mankind's relationship with the Earth, with Spaceship Earth as its iconic landmark. The second was the World Showcase, featuring pavilions sponsored, which now have 11 different nations. With the plaque, though, in June of 2024, the old dedication plaque and the sign that it was on was removed. And what they were doing is revamping it a little bit as far as the look. They replaced it back on November 24th, so it was only gone for a few months, but it was reinstalled in the same location, but it's more mirrors the signage that they've been doing throughout the park with their reimagining. The sign is black with blue supports on the sides, the blue being the color of the World Celebration, which is the entrance land of Epcot. And on the front is still the same plaque. It's got a different logo underneath it for Epcot because it's more of a script type of look. And the back of the plaque is just black and blank. I'm not sure if maybe at some point they will put some additional words on there or what their hope is for that. But it's now got some flowers around it. And of course, it's still underneath the flagpole. So you're going to see it right when you're walking up to the gates of Epcot. Have you guys seen this plaque and have you seen it revised?
So it's funny that you asked that. So when we were talking about this and researching it, we were like, of course, Epcot has a dedication plaque. And of course, we've seen it. We're all about the details. And then we were going around the parks in our head going, okay, well, where is it? We have to have seen it. And then when, you did the research and you said it's actually outside of the park, we went back to our pictures and yeah, we have pictures of the dedication plaque outside of the park, but it just never occurred to me of why it would be outside the park, other than the fact that like you mentioned, it's at the base of a flagpole, which is where the other ones are. Granted, there are other flags around. Well, I don't know about at the time when they put it in, if there were flags inside the actual park, but I can see why they wouldn't have a flagpole in there unless there was a flag for every country that was represented. But that being said, I know we have seen it because we have the pictures of it, but it doesn't stand out in my memory like the other ones do. But I think that it's so interesting. Like we were talking about, the phrasing is very similar to the other parks. You know it's intentionally written to have those phrases repeated, or at least in the same cadence of the original plaque, which I think is really cool.
I want to say I am one of those average guests that walks right past Plaques, apparently, because I couldn't picture where this was for the life of me. Again, we run where in the park, and like they're saying, this is not in the park, so I kind of ignored it. So I'm glad that we're covering it now. I'll obviously look at it a little closer on our next visit to the park. I'm assuming that it is where it is, just out of the tap styles, is what they call them now, where the turnstiles used to be. It's just because it would probably take away from the Spaceship Earth attraction, which is straight ahead as you walk through the turnstiles there. So if instead you had it where the first thing you saw was a big flagpole, it would interfere with your photos. It would kind of get in the way. So I understand the decision, but I didn't expect it either.
Yeah,
But as far as what it says, it's beautiful.
Yeah, when I was working on this and I was looking at it, I thought that the plaque was in front of Spaceship Earth, like as you're entering in. And then as I kept looking at it, I was like, no, it's not. It's in front of the park before you go in. So yeah, you could walk right past it, which I think is why they now enhanced it, where it's a lot more visual, the colors, the flagpole, the flower beds, and all that. So next time you guys go by there, make sure when you're walking in that you take a little glance, see what's up there.
Yeah. And I will absolutely make sure that we go around the back of it, because I think it's interesting that it's 3-dimensional in that it's on a sign that you can walk behind, whereas the other ones are on the ground. It's a little bit of an elevation, like in that it's on a little stand, but you can't walk around it. Whereas Epcot, it's standing up and you can walk around the back of it. And the fact that it's blank is very interesting to me. So I wonder if today, if it is still blank on the other side, or if they've added something to it. If you are at Epcot and you would like to let us know, definitely share your pictures.
I might be jumping ahead a little bit, but over at California Adventure today, it actually is also kind of like that, where it's a flagpole that you can walk all the way around. So we can take a look at the back of that one when we go next time as well.
I know that now they have directional signs there too. So I was kind of taken aback that they had something there, but I guess, you need to tell people where they're going to go, but I would have preferred it not to be there. But
yeah, I agree. With the flagpoles that are around at the other parks, they have a flag ceremony, the flag retreat, and I'm assuming they also do that at Epcot, even though it's not in the park. It might not be as big of a spectacle as it is at the Magic Kingdom, but to have the directional signs in there in the same planter as well, it does kind of deter from the gravitas of what the plaque actually is and what it stands for. But then again, I think perhaps maybe if those directional signs weren't there, you wouldn't even know that there was a plaque there. So I don't know. I'm 50-50 on that one. Like, have it be a standalone thing, but also make it more iconic that it would still catch your eye without having the directional signs. That's my
it's not a rectangle or a square plaque either. It's a hexagon. So that stands out, but it kind of helps with the theming because you're going to see Spaceship Earth behind it, and it's got that shapes and stuff.
Yeah.
So
the geodesic sphere.
Right. All right. So next we have Disney's Hollywood Studios. Now, this park was originally called Disney MGM Studios, and it opened May the 1st in 1989. But here we're talking about how Epcot had the plaque in front of the park. This one's even weirder. It's located near Echo Lake in a grassy patch, but at the end of Hollywood Boulevard, as you've walked through, you're already in the middle of the park. And this was dedicated by Michael Eisner, and it reads, "The world you have entered was created by Walt Disney Company and is dedicated to Hollywood. Not a place on a map, but a state of mind that exists wherever people dream and wonder and imagine. A place where illusion and reality are fused by technological magic. We welcome you to Hollywood that never was and always will be." Originally, the park was designed to include rides and attractions such as the Great Movie Ride, which is no longer there, as well as real film and TV production facilities where guests could witness the magic of movie making by taking a backlot tour. In 2008, the park officially changed its name to Disney's Hollywood Studios, reflecting a new direction they were going, away from the actual production and behind-the-scenes focus of wholly immersive guests into their favorite films and TVs, through new and exciting attractions and environments. With this rebranding, the plaque was unveiled with a new branding surrounding the initial plaque. The original rectangle bronze dedication plaque still has Disney MGM Studios on it, but it now has a turquoise and gold Art Deco-ish design theme frame that's around the original plaque, and it's still in the same location. At the top of that frame, it says Disney's Hollywood Studio to show the new name of the park. One unique feature that's found right of the plaque is a cameraman statue, which was installed in 1995. The Disney Hollywood Studio cameraman statue is based on an original statue that Andrea Facelli and his father Aldo made that is located across from Gate 2 of Warner Brothers Studios in Burbank, California. They were commissioned to do this by Roy Disney, not Roy O. Disney, but E. Disney. And they basically were told that they wanted a replica of the Burbank statue placed at Disney's Hollywood Studios. There's a plaque on that states movies are a medium of expression like a symphony orchestra or a painter's brush or canvas. And that's what Walt Disney had said. The placement of the statue at Disney's Hollywood Studios is not just to honor filmmaking, but is placed to suggest that the guests are being filmed as they enter the park and are part of the motion picture that they are about to experience. The man that's portrayed in the statue is no one in particular. It's not based on anyone, especially not a young Walt Disney, as some have claimed. It reflects a transition period when silence disappeared and talkies took over. At the feet of the cameraman is a director's microphone and an open script. Really looks more like a book. And actually, the book was sculpted by Andrea's wife, Camille. And that includes names of people who inspired Andrea, including Herb Dickens Ryman and Lucille Ryman Carroll. They were really good friends. Roy E. Disney and Patricia Disney, Marty Sklar, and Andrea's father, Aldo. Andrea was also responsible for sculpting the Disney's Legend Award, the American Teachers Award, and the Frank G. Wells Award for the Disney Company, as well as the Trans-Pacific Yacht Race New Course Record Trophy for Roy E. Disney. Have you guys actually stopped and looked at this statue? It reminds me of some of the Universal Studios statues, where it's pretty much, it's got the camera and all that, but it's a tribute to the movie making.
Yeah, I was also thinking of our Universal Studios episode. If you haven't listened to it, go back, take a listen. We talk about the fountain out front in Universal Studios Hollywood that has a similar concept. It has 3 people, but it's still, you are being filmed as you are walking into the park is kind of what the statue looks like it is doing. And I was also thinking that looking at this picture where it's like, it's kind of the same story, except for it's more modern at Universal, whereas this is more about how Hollywood, used to be or never was, but it will always be, or however Eisner worded it. So yeah, it's just very interesting. We've not stopped by the one over by Warner Brothers Studio. I believe we've driven past it. And we thought the first time we saw it was like, that looks very familiar. Like, we're like, where in the park have I seen that? Where it just kind of felt like it was one of our cards just jumped out. No spoilers here. We do not have that image on any of our cards. But yeah, it was very interesting as far as seeing something outside of a theme park that we've seen in a theme park. And I don't know how many more of them are out there or if there are any others.
Yeah, we saw the cameraman statue at the Warner Brothers Studios just by accident. We were on our way to somewhere else and we were unable to make a turn at the light we were supposed to. And we went down to the next light, which happened to be at the intersection where this cameraman statue was. So while we were waiting for the light to turn so we could make a U-turn, we looked and we're like, I know that statue. What's going on here? And so that's when the research began of, hey, it's made by the same artist and he's got a brother over at Hollywood Studios, and that's awesome. So that was a happy accident on our part to run into, well, not run into, we didn't run into him, but to, it was a happy accident to happen to see this other statue. I totally did not know about the names that were written at the base of the statue. And that's awesome that it is paying tribute to those that they respected, the Rymans, Marty Sklar. That's fantastic. And I definitely next time we're there, we'll be on the lookout for that because that's awesome. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, we'll put a picture because there's a lot more names. Those were just a few that were mentioned because he had a close relationship with both Roy Disney and the Rymans. They were really close. So he wanted to make sure he paid tribute to those. And his wife was the one who got her hands dirty with the clay and molded it all, which was great because it was really Aldo and Andrea that were working on the actual statue itself.
Yeah, I love that too, that it was the whole family that got together to make this happen. And the fact that they've gone on to create other things for the Disney company too, things that we've seen for the, legend statue. That's really cool that they've also done those. But I want to touch back on the plaque itself, or the dedication plaque for Hollywood Studios, because I don't understand for the life of me why there's two logos. Like, why is there the original Disney MGM Studios logo and then the Disney Hollywood Studios logo?
We just didn't want to make a new plaque.
I think it's because it was dedicated, and it was, it's a bronze thing, and to just put a Art Deco frame around it that says Disney's Hollywood Studios at the top of it, I think is fine. It's paying tribute to what it was and what it is.
But at the same time, like we mentioned with Epcot, they've redone that one to have the new logo. And as we'll see with DCA, that's a new one too. So it's not out of their wheelhouse.
The logo is beneath it. It's not, they didn't change the plaque. It's just the logo at the bottom.
No.
Right. But it is different. They are able to change the plaque. And especially if they're getting away from the MGM Studios art, why keep it? Just have the Art Deco frame.
Yeah, I wonder if they're still paying rights to put that logo on this plaque. I don't know.
Oh. No idea. I didn't get that information. But if you know, let us know.
Right? Maybe they'll change it after we call them out. Who knows?
Right. Oh, oops. We were supposed to change that years ago.
Whoops. Okay. Well, from the future and the World Showcase and the Magic of Hollywood, there's still 2 more parks to cover. Kevin, where are we off to next?
All right. So chronologically, that's what we're going with here. So the next up after Hollywood Studios opened was Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park. So after you walk through the tap styles into that park, if you've ever been there before, you'll know how it's set up. If you haven't, I'll explain it to you. It's kind of a weird one, right? Because I can't think of another park that does this. Right when you get past the tap styles, the park splits down 2 different paths. You can go either left or right. And most people are beelining it. If you want to go to the world of Avatar, you're going to beeline it to the left, even though it lines up right in the middle. Like, again, it doesn't really matter which way you go. But the reason why I bring up the split is because if you actually paused, there's a little planter out front where that split has, with some trees and a little rock. And on top of that rock is where you would actually find the dedication for this park. So it's kind of a weird spot that's easy to miss if you're beelining it right past it. It's also amongst a lot of plants. So there's times where the plants are kind of covering the dedication a little bit. We actually have our photos where you can see our hands kind of pushing the plants out of the way to get the photo of the dedication plaque. So it's kind of an interesting, it goes back to the whole theory of Animal Kingdom where it's based on nature and they're letting nature kind of take over this plaque on a rock. And it even has a funny cutout to it where it looks almost organic, even though it's metal on, I'm assuming it's a real rock. I don't even know if that's true. But anyway, so other people have said it. I'm going to repeat it, that some of these plaques are a thesis for why the park exists, especially this one and the next one by Eisner. Michael Eisner was the CEO of Disney for several years, and he dedicated this park. And his mentality of these dedications really was about talking about, hey, this is what this park is and will be. So keep that in mind as I read this. This is what it says on the plaque. It says, "Welcome to a kingdom of animals, real, ancient, and imagined. A kingdom ruled by lions, dinosaurs, and dragons. A kingdom of balance, harmony, and survival. A kingdom we enter to share in the wonder, gaze at the beauty, thrill at the drama, and learn." So now the first 2 lists on the plaque clearly correlate, right? You have real equals lions, ancient equals dinosaurs, and imagined equals dragons. So let's start with the real. Right, let's get that out of the way. You'll notice that nowhere on the plaque does it use the word zoo. They actually had a campaign back in 2001 using a fake African word that was spelled Nahtazu, which they said described the park. It showed up in ads, on TVs, in the resort hotel rooms, and it was even like on the cover of the park maps that they would give out when you went through the turnstiles. So if you don't remember this, the word, when he pronounced it out loud, it was Nahtazu, as in not a zoo. That's all that they were really trying to say, right? They were trying to get the word out that this park that they had opened was not just animals, that it was a full theme park, right? But the fact is the Animal Kingdom is accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, meaning it is a zoo. And yes, they have actual lions. The park is home to over 5,000 animals covering 300 different species. So when the park first was announced, they claimed they were going to have 1,000 different species. I don't know what changed, but according to the most recent Disney Parks blog, 5,000 animals, 300 species. So we'll go with that as the actual number. So the plaque is correct. The park has real animals. But next up, we have ancient animals represented by dinosaurs. The park opened with a dinosaur-themed land, which featured a children's play area named the Boneyard. And it was themed after a dinosaur dig site. And they had a ride named Countdown to Extinction. And that ride was loosely themed to the then in-the-works live-action animated film Dinosaur. When that finally came out in theaters 2 years later, the ride was renamed to Dinosaur to help promote that film. So if you follow theme park news, you'll know that Animal Kingdom is currently going through a transformation, and that land of Dino Land USA, it's becoming Tropical Americas. But as of right now, we don't know if there will be any dinosaur representation in the park after that's completed. But for now, the Boneyard and the Dinosaur Ride are still open. So if you went there, like we're recording this in May of 2025, early June 2025 is when this is going to come out. You will be able to go to Animal Kingdom, and we believe that they should still be open through probably the end of this year. We don't know exactly when they're going to close because they're planning to have a 2027 opening for the change, right? But anyway, that's a little long-winded there, but just want to make sure everyone knows what's happening. The plan is to put a carousel where the Boneyard is today. It looks beautiful. We've seen concept art for it. And the dinosaur ride is going to be rethemed to Indiana Jones, which, if you don't know, the dinosaur ride at Animal Kingdom is actually a very close cousin to the Indiana Jones adventure ride over at Disneyland. It has the same type of vehicles, same ride system. It's actually the identical track layout. It might have one dip missing, but it also has similar story beats where the vehicle slows down and speeds up at different spots. So it shouldn't be that hard for them to transform it to something very similar to the ride out in California, even though they say it's going to be a whole new storyline. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But the point, though, is the plaque is accurate. Ancient dinosaurs are represented, and we're just going to have to wait to see if they're still going to be anywhere in the park after this transformation. And finally, we have imagined dragons. Okay, so today the only places to find dragons at the park include a sculpture of a dragon head at the top of a ticket booth at the park entrance. And it's pretty easy to miss, honestly. But an even easier to miss thing is there's this dragon rock formation. It's like the head of a dragon that's overlocated between Tiffin's and Pandora as you're walking on the bridge. I don't know if I've ever even seen it. It's kind of along the waterline. I've seen photos of it. But yeah, so those are the two main dragons. Other than that, on the logo for Animal Kingdom, there is a dragon in the center of 5 animals. You can see that logo, the inspiration of those 5 animals walking on benches throughout the park, and signposts, lanterns. Even in the gift shops, you'll see it on pins. I'm sure there's other areas. If you can't picture it, it has like the tree of life in the background, and then in the foreground you have a lion, an elephant, and then a dragon, and then a triceratops, and what I believe is an antelope. And they are all walking from left to right. It could be a stylized goat. I'm pretty sure it's an antelope. It was actually part of their logo back when the park was still named Disney's Wild Animal Kingdom. Like if you Google it, you'll be able to find that logo. It looks nearly identical, except for it says wild really big, with Animal Kingdom really small. But even back when the park opened, the only other dragon that you can find was on a water transportation style attraction that was in the park that was named Discovery Riverboats. And it traveled past a small cave, which is still there. Apparently, you can see it if you know what to look for. But back when you were on this boat ride, a blast of fire would come out, suggesting that a dragon was inside. Apparently, there was concept art, and people have talked about it since then, that they had planned to make a dragon look just like the one over in Disneyland Paris. But they didn't do it. They had budget cuts. The park went over budget. That's kind of the main story. But on top of that, there was even a piece of art made for the grand opening of the park by a guy named Michael Mosier. And it was on tickets, prints, t-shirts, and who knows what else. And it had a red dragon breathing fire toward one of those boats right in the middle of that painting. Like that's one of the main things of this park is going to be dragons. That attraction also had a unicorn statue with some effects every once in a while. So that adds to the Imagine Animal count. But apparently they had ideas to bring in the Kraken and, like I said, that dragon on this attraction, but they just never did it. And that's fine because that boat ride only lasted for a year and 4 months. It closed in August of 1999 with the park opening in April of 1998. So with all of that said, according to the concept art for the park, when it was first announced in 1995, there was supposed to be a land designed for the park that was going to be named Beastly Kingdom. And it was supposed to be a land dedicated to mythological creatures with an entire attraction based on dragons. And there's supposed to be another on unicorns and a river ride based on the classic animated film Fantasia. And there was going to be a restaurant themed to, you guessed it, the Loch Ness Monster. So I'm not sure exactly where this fell off, but if you fast forward, like I said, the park was over budget, and they eventually Kingdom into phase 2 for the park. That means like after they opened it and made some money, they're planning to add this to the park, but it eventually got cut. I should also point out that since the park opened, there has actually been a unicorn section in the parking lot. So we have that going for us as far as that Imagine Animal count. So yeah, the dedication plaque pointed out Imagine Animals back in 1998, but other than minor references to such creatures, it wasn't until 2006 that we finally received an attraction in the park based on a mythological creature. And that's the Yeti, which is found at Expedition Everest, Legend of the Forbidden Mountain. And then in 2017, so a while after that, 11 years later, we have all of the imaginary animals of Pandora that were added to the park in a land based on the film Avatar. And that land was actually put in the park where they had earmarked the land for Beastly Kingdom. So it almost makes sense. The Banshees, or Ekrons, depending on where you fall into your storyline there, from Flight of Passage, are the closest thing that we have to dragons in the park today. Now, after that long-winded covering of the first 2 lines of the plaque, the rest of the dedication is pretty standard as far as describing the world we live in and how animals and their ecosystem are beautiful and thrilling. But before I end, I do want to point out that it's with and learn, which really lives on in the conservation station and the Kilimanjaro Safari, as well as the zoological exhibits around the park and the exploration trail and the jungle trek. There's so many signs. I'm pretty sure that this theme park has more information available to learn than any other Disney park. So it makes sense that it ends that way.
Also with learning, they do heavily emphasize the wilderness explorers, and you're going through the entire park as a wilderness explorer. It's, more targeted for the little ones, but they're collecting their badges and learning more about animals. And I love that they're not a zoo, but also still a zoo, or they're an aquarium. It's one or the other. I think that they're a zoo / theme park. The ties that are still with the dragons is pretty cool to nod to the intention of the park, even if it's not the direction that they are currently on. There are still little nods here and there of what that plaque represents. So I'm curious, as they take away the dinosaurs and stuff, are they going to do a rededication of Animal Kingdom with a newly revised plaque? I'd be curious.
Great question. I know I read as far as with Beastly Kingdom that some of the Imagineers who were designing that project, they eventually left Disney and went over to Universal. And a lot of the Lost Continent area over at Islands of Adventure had things that seemed like they were off of at least the mindset of Beastly Kingdom. And then obviously with the new theme park, Epic Universe, with its dragon-themed land from How to Train Your Dragon, I would be surprised if people who were working on Beastly Kingdom weren't like asked questions of like, hey, how can we bring dragons into a theme park? Do you have any ideas? So it's definitely interesting.
And I would say when you go, because everybody should go, because it's an amazing park, definitely take the safari tour. Take extra excursions that you can take outside of the park. I know when we went in 2017, to be able to take the nighttime thing to see animals at night was, our own little tour. It was very, very cool to see that. And it is definitely a learning park. I got a lot of things that I had no idea about. It's not your typical zoo, in that sense, because you can get up close and personal with some of these. And of course, the otters, because those are my favorite. And ostriches.
Yeah, the Starlight Safari still happens, but that's actually over at the Animal Kingdom Lodge. It's over at the hotel. It's still the same people, I think, kind of managing both sides of it as far as the zoological certification. But yeah, definitely a great experience. Next up, we have Disney's California Adventure, as well as Disney California Adventure. So if you notice, those are two completely different names, and you have two completely different plaques. We're going to start with the first one. Back in 2001, California Adventure first opened, right? And again, this is very unique. I can't think of another theme park that has plaques, let alone a Disney park. Like we were saying, there might be some rededications happening. It hasn't happened yet. Even when they changed the name of Disney MGM Studios to Disney Hollywood Studios, they didn't change the plaque, right? That's what we brought up. It's kind of odd that they went for it this time, but I might have some reasons why, and I'm going to go through these plaques to try to make some sense out of it. So, from February 2001 until September of 2010, there was a large sun sculpture straight ahead when you entered California Adventure. And that sun was named the Sun Icon. Did you know it had a name? I didn't know it had a name. So the sun icon that used to be there, it was above a mosaic tiled fountain, and it had water that would go back and forth looking like ocean waves, kind of. And it was directly in front of that fountain, like centered with that sun, but like on the other side of the water, is where you'd find the original dedication plaque. So that's where in the park that was. Today, you find a new plaque. It's at the base of a flagpole near some benches and trees in the center of the area immediately in front of you as you enter the park. It's kind of a mirror to Disneyland across the way. You can go into Google Earth and draw a line from the flagpole at Disneyland and drag it to the flagpole at DCA, and it's a perfect vertical line. Now, you know where in the park they are or were, and let's go into what they said. The original plaque was dedicated by Michael Eisner, and that was back on February 8th of 2001. And it read, "To all who believe in the power of dreams, welcome. Disney's California Adventure opens its golden gates to you. Here we pay tribute to the dreamers of the past, the native people, explorers, immigrants, aviators, entrepreneurs, and entertainers who built the Golden State. And we salute a new generation of dreamers who are creating the wonders of tomorrow, from the silver screen to the computer screen, from the fertile farmlands to the far reaches of space. Disney's California Adventure celebrates the richness and diversity of California, its land, its people, its spirit, and above all, the dreams that it continues to inspire." All right, so there's a little to unpack. First, I want to point out that it's saying that DCA opens its Golden Gates. And that is just a play on the idea of the Golden Gate Bridge in California being synonymous. When the park opened, one of the first things guests would see is a replica of San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge covering the monorail beam going across the front of the park. But the best I can tell, the actual gates when the park first opened, and even today, they're more of a greenish blue. So the ones that are going to open up that you go through the turnstiles or tap stiles that it becomes, they are not golden. They never have been. I looked up photos from like all throughout California Adventure history. So it's a weird thing to start off with. I'm just going to put that out there right now. It's just fun to say, I guess. Or maybe he had planned it, but then someone imaginary decided, hey, it'll look better with this color. But anyway, aside from that, the word dream shows up 4 times on the plaque. And the word dream in California have had a long history, partly because of the gold rush. It also is because of like the weather over in California and this general dream for prosperity that it has historically represented in California. When the park first opened, you can often hear a stylized rendition of the Mamas and the Papas song, California Dreamin'. So they went with the dream theme pretty strong. There was even a show named Golden Dreams, which featured a song named Just One Dream. So they were all about dreaming in California. Now to the details. The plaque mentions native people, explorers, immigrants, aviators, entrepreneurs, and entertainers. And again, when the park first opened, there was that show called Golden Dreams, and it was located over where Ariel's Undersea Adventure is today. It was hosted by Whoopi Goldberg, and she was the fictional Queen Calafia. She was kind of your host through the show. And it had different segments. It was all film based, all movie screen, except for Calafia had like these like things on the wall with her projections. But the point though is that it had segments telling the stories about the native people, explorers, and immigrants. So that knocks out 3 things right there on the plaque. Perfect. Meanwhile, the ride Soaring Over California was in a land that was named Condor Flats, and it was supposed to be like an airfield like it is today. It was all based off of flying. So that covers the aviators mentioned on the plaque. And obviously Hollywoodland, originally Hollywood Pictures Backlot, is dedicated to entertainers. I'm not exactly sure where entrepreneurs fit into the storyline of DCA, but obviously the park wouldn't exist if it wasn't for entrepreneurship in California, because that is where Disney is headquartered. So maybe that's what he was referring to. After that, it does mention a new generation of dreamers creating for the silver screen and the computer screen, from the fertile farmlands to the far reaches of space. Now, silver screen refers to screens in movie theaters, if you guys still go to those. And again, that references the Hollywood Pictures backlot. So that all makes sense. I get that. I'm not exactly sure what he was referencing when he mentioned computer screens, because there wasn't anything in the park that was computer screen kind of driven, especially back then. I don't know if he was talking about how computer graphics and CGI were taking over the film industry at the time. So that would still tie back to Hollywood Pictures backlot, or if he was foreseeing a world where people watch movies on their computers. Keep in mind that back in February of 2001, we were still over 6 years away from both Netflix streaming and even iPhones. So it was a different world back then. Maybe he was just kind of like seeing the future. For the fertile farmlands, that refers to how California has a huge agriculture business, but also to the opening day, there was a land called Bountiful Valley Farms. And that land eventually made way for a Bugs Land, which is now mostly Avengers Campus. I think there's a little bit of Junkyard Jamboree touching where it used to be as well, over in the Cars Land. Now, Michael Eisner, he decided to include the phrase far reaches of space on the plaque, which is interesting because it's true that NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, or JPL, is headquartered in Pasadena, California. That's a fact. But DCA did not and has not had any attractions based on space exploration that I know of. There was a McDonald's burger invasion that was based off of more like, I don't know, like UFOs, which I don't think would be the same thing. I hope that's not what he was referencing. But all that said, back at last year's D23 convention, it was announced that a land based on the film Avatar, kind of like they have over in Animal Kingdom, is going to be going into California Adventure. So even though that's fictional, it would finally add the far reaches of space to the park. But yeah, so that was the original dedication. And it was rededicated on June 15th, 2012 by Bob Iger, or Robert A. Iger, if you read the plaque. And it reads, "To all who come to this place of dreams, welcome. Disney California Adventure celebrates the spirit of optimism and the promise of endless opportunities, ignited by the imaginations of daring dreamers such as Walt Disney and those like him who forever changed and were forever changed by the Golden State. This unique place embraces the richness and diversity of California, its land, its people, its stories, and above all, the dreamers it continues to inspire." So it didn't change. I mean, it changed a lot. Let's be clear. It got rid of all of the kind of specifics that Eisner liked to include in his plaques, especially for Animal Kingdom and for the original California Adventure plaques. But for the first line, though, he changed it from saying, "To all who believe in the power of dreams, welcome," to all who come to this place of dreams, welcome, which puts it more in line with the original Disneyland dedication. And I guess it no longer excludes people who don't believe in the power of dreams, right? So that's nice. Other than that, like I said, it just gets rid of all the specifics. And it ends similarly, but it changes there's a slight change. Let's see if you can even catch it, right? It ends with, "Its land, its people, its spirit, and above all, the dreams that it continues to inspire." Michael Eisner. Then Bob Iger's is, "Its land, its people, its stories, and above all, the dreamers it continues to inspire." So again, it's not a big change. It's just making it where instead of inspiring dreams, you're now inspiring people to have dreams, I suppose. And I guess that's kind of what California Adventure is becoming, or has become, where it's more about what you dream of than specific things about California. I'm not really 100% sure what it's saying as far as the thesis for the park at this point, other than that Walt Disney was involved with it now, according to this new plaque. So what do you guys think?
Well, I know with the movies, at least we have Carthay Circle, where it's the theater, And as far as the entrepreneurs, I was thinking like along Buena Vista Street, because there's all the shops, like what you would consider mom and pop shops, that are, people that were taking on the entrepreneurial roles along that street. So going into that, and then you have your Hollywood land.
Funny thing about that, though, right, is that Buena Vista Street didn't exist when Eisner put that on the plaque. And it wasn't until they changed the plaque that they had that. So
That's true.
it's very interesting.
Maybe he can foresee things. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The whole space thing and the computer
Netflix,
Well-
Netflix streaming and this.
For the space reference, my mind went to how they have some pictures along the line for Soarin' over California, or Soarin', depending on the time of year, where you have some space shuttle references throughout the land. But to play more into opening day, Maliboomer had space all along the whole tower. It has rocket ships and planets and that kind of thing. And you are
Sure.
taking off into space, quote unquote. So that's the only space reference I can think of.
Actually, I think maybe Golden Dreams may have ended with like a little bit of like a space shuttle montage.
Okay.
That could be a fake memory. I know over at Epcot in their American Adventure, they have like a space shuttle going off over there. I want to say they may have had that same exact sequence.
Maybe. But yeah, and then the reference about the Golden Gates, I think it's just a California reference. I don't think it's supposed to be a literal like these gates are golden. So I think it's just it's a metaphor.
Well, what's funny is that we live in this world of AI. So if you do ask Google, did California Adventure ever have golden gates at the front of the park? It will say yes. Like it will say yes, there was the Golden Gate Bridge. Well, that's fine. But if you ask more specifically, like were the gates at the turnstiles of Disney's California Adventure gold in 2001, it will say yes, and it will reference that line on the plaque as proof that they were that color. So it's a weird world that we live in.
I don't know if the Golden Zephyr was there at the beginning of the park. It says it is a gleaming retro spaceship inspired by science fiction stories in the 1920s.
I like it.
It was train inspired. That's weird. All right.
Yeah. So, and that's from Disneyland. That's on their website. Yeah. So
forgot about the Golden Zephyr. That's on me.
There's kind of your spaceship.
That connects to Californians reaching the far reaches of space.
I
guess
so.
then we solved it, everybody. You're welcome.
Woo! We're dreaming.
We are.
We're
California dreaming
the imagination.
over
here. You can say I'm a dreamer.
I don't know if it's a California song.
Oh.
Gotta stay focused here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Even California Dreamin' technically is about someone who's not in California. So it's kind of a weird concept all around. But
it's just it has California in the lyrics, and therefore is part of even when they have the Food and Wine Festival, it is playing in the background.
Did they bring it back? I didn't even know.
Yep, I heard it it's just very subtle, like if you're not listening for it.
Yeah, just so everyone listening, like they don't play the words. It's just in like an instrumental version, stylized. If you know, you know. If you don't, it goes right past your head, like it did for me this last time that we visited.
Well, and they do. When it first opened, they did have it because they had
the words,
surf songs, and things like that were playing a lot with that. The Golden Sun.
The lyrics?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the lyrics ever being part of it. That's weird.
Yeah.
All right. Very odd.
You had asked at the beginning with the California Adventure plaque, because you can walk all the way around it.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything on the other sides? And the answer is no. So the plaque is just in the front as you are walking toward the flagpole. The other three sides of the flagpole base is blank.
So we will expect the same at Epcot when we visit.
There you go.
Yeah, and the plaque that's in Disney's Hollywood Studios is on a pedestal that's in front of the planter area, in front of that cameraman statue.
I think it's in front of like the Keystone Closures. Is that the shop right there?
Yeah.
It's kind of an odd park up there as far as like the way the roads kind of split funny. So it's hard to tell where things are, but
yeah, it's at the end of Hollywood Boulevard, which is your main street. As you are walking into the park, you're going to find the statue between the Keystone Closures as you get towards the ship eatery.
The boat.
Dockside. Okay. I don't know.
Dockside Diner? That sounds
Dockside
right.
Diner. There you go. As you would go to the end of the shops, make a left towards Dockside Diner. It's going to be, I think there's a large tree, and the cameraman statue and dedication plaques are underneath that tree. But it is fitting because the cameraman is looking down the Hollywood Boulevard and filming all that come into the park. So I think that is a proper placement. It's not in the middle of the walkway, so you you can easily walk by him and not know that he's there. So it's pretty cool.
We'll post a link in on the show notes. There's a really good YouTube video that we found. I can't remember who's narrating it, but it talks about the creators of it and where it's placed and all that. And it's a really, really good video.
Well, what an incredible journey we have been on. We covered 6 parks, 7-ish plaques, and 7 powerful messages that help shape the most magical places on Earth. So we want to know, which plaque spoke to you the most? Do you have photos of these plaques or maybe firsthand experience from the dedication ceremonies? We would love to hear your stories and see your photos. So again, please come over to the Where in the Park Explorers Facebook group. It's free, it's fun, and you'll connect with other theme park enthusiasts like yourself. And we'll all be in there as well. And we'll discover new things about the theme parks we love so much. Don't forget to check out the full blog. It's over on our website for links, images, links to the video that Kim mentioned about the cameraman statue. Everything will be in there as well. Or better yet, start your own adventure with one of our Where in the Park game packs at whereinthepark.com. Each one is a self-paced seek and find experience dedicated to help you discover the details hiding in plain sight. Links for everything are in the show notes below. We just want to thank you for exploring with us today. It's been a lot of fun researching this, and thank you so much for exploring with us today. And until next time, we'll see you somewhere in the park. Bye for now.
Thanks for exploring with us today. If you're ready to take your park experience to the next level, check out our Where in the Park games. They're self-paced seek and find adventures designed to help you explore the parks in a whole new way, whether you're visiting for a birthday, a family gathering, a date night, or even a solo trip. You won't find our images on rides, in lines, or inside shops or restaurants. They're just out in the open as you wander around the park. Get ready to experience a deeper appreciation for your favorite theme parks. Head over to whereinthepark.com and use code PODCAST10 to take 10% off your next adventure. Until next time, we'll see you somewhere in the park.